program or this program, or I'm doing this or I'm doing that. And you're like, whoa. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Truth Talks, the podcast that brings you real strategies for sustainable fitness transformation. We love the gym. Paris and I love the gym. But, I mean, it's been years since we've been stepping foot in the gym, right, Paris? Like, I don't know, how long have you been training for in the gym?
Oh, you mean since first stepping foot in gym? Oh, man. I mean, if you count high school gym class, then I guess 10 years. But if you count like my dad's home gym, then maybe, maybe like 13 years.
It's a long time, right? Yeah, I'd say same for me. I think I probably started lifting similar to the time you were going to the high school gym and I was in university. So probably about, solid 10, 11 years there. So that's a lot of time to get used to being in the gym.
Yeah.
But I think it's also important to remember that at some point we stepped into the gym for the first time. And there's a lot of people who are just doing that now or are thinking about doing that. And so today we're going to kind of build an episode around that moment of like first stepping foot in the gym, or even if it's not like your first time in the gym, just how to start getting there more routinely. So today's topic is really about how can you get started in the gym? And part of that is overcoming, maybe a little bit of I saw this term recently called gym-timidation.
Oh,
gym-timidation.
I was going to say gym anxiety, because that's like a term that I hear a lot from people of like, oh, I have gym anxiety or whatever, but gym-timidation, that's hilarious.
Like, I think gym anxiety is probably more frequently used, but the gym-timidation was one I stumbled upon. I was like, I can't not say that. That's too fun. So we're going to be addressing that, but we're also going to make it practical. So yes, there's some mindset pieces about that too, but it's not just like hey, just think about being there and be there, right? It is more complex than that. So our goal for this episode is to really also provide some like step-by-step, really practical, actionable things you can do to actually start stepping foot in the gym more consistently and get comfortable there. It's not just about being there. It's about being comfortable there too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. The first thing to remember before we even go into everything is that at some point, just as we just articulated, at some point, everybody stepped into the gym for the first time.
Yep, that's so true. It's so true. Like, it's like that famous saying, sorry to cut you off, it's like that famous saying, which is like every master was once a beginner or something like that. It's kind of the same thing. Like every person you see that has a fantastic physique or has been doing this forever had a first time that they walked in and said, what the heck are all these machines and what are these weights and how do I lift them?
Exactly. And I think in today's era, like we were kind of lucky in a way, I'm going to say it, like 10 years ago, social media wasn't what it was today, especially not like fitness social media. But now when you scroll, it kind of feels like everybody's just got it figured out and everybody's in the gym all the time. For some people, it's kind of true, but it's not the case everywhere. Every one of those people stepped foot in the gym for the first time at some point.
Yeah. Very true.
So when it comes to stepping foot in the gym for the first time, why does that feel so intimidating? Like, where does gym anxiety come from? Let's start with that so we can actually really, before we talk about how we can resolve it, acknowledge that this is the reality for a lot of people. And how did we get there? Why do we feel that way?
I think the first one is a perception that everybody's like staring at you and judging you and knows that you're new and is like, oh, that person doesn't know how to use that piece of equipment. And for some reason, like caring so much about what you're doing in the gym, which is so false. Like most people have their headphones in. They're probably thinking the same thing as you, like, oh, am I using this machine correctly? And most people, they couldn't even care less what you're doing at the gym. But in our minds, we think everybody at the gym has just stopped their set, turned around, and is like staring at us to see what we do if we mess up.
Right? Yeah, it's a fear of judgment, and that's just a human characteristic. We have a tendency to create biases to make situations about ourselves. That's just part of being human. So it's understandable, but it is hard to break that thought process. But chances are that person is same as you, so focused on what they're doing, right? That they're not even thinking about judging you. I mean, maybe there are some judgy people in every gym, sure. But most of the time, people are so caught up in their own existence and their own set and their own workout that judgment factor is actually one of the furthest things from their minds.
Yeah, so true. So true. And they have their headphones in and like a lot of times too, they're in their own zone listening to music, thinking about what's for dinner.
Yeah, exactly. That's me. Listening to music, thinking about what's for dinner. That's me for sure. Okay, so what else? Can I throw one out there, or do you have
Yeah,
another
go for
one?
it. No, go for it.
Other thing that I find can be intimidating about the gym is you kind of walk in there and you're overwhelmed by options. You're like, where do I start? Like, what do I do? You have all these machines, half of them look super funky. You have the dumbbell section, but you're like, okay, well, which dumbbell exercises do I pick? You're not sure cardio or weight training. And everybody also, like, to add to the complexity, before you even step foot in the gym, you're exposed to all this messaging from different people telling you, well, this program, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that. And you're like, whoa. So,
and also just so much decision fatigue too.
yeah.
It's information overload, and there's also too many decisions to make, and then you're like, well, there's way too much. I'm just gonna go back at home and eat some Cheetos.
I mean, that sounds like the much easier decision to make in the moment, right? Yeah, for sure. So there are two more I want to address, just like reasons why people feel anxiety about heading into the gym, and then we'll start diving in. If you relate to any of these reasons that we're talking about, love to hear in the comments below how you think about them. I think one of them is like fear of injury or risk tolerance, right? And I think we'd be remiss not to mention that. When you're thinking about picking up heavy weights or you're not sure how to use a machine, it's totally normal if you are thinking about risk of injury.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
But
It's
I
like
think,
kind of you're uncertain of like you don't have the confidence yet in the movement patterns, so you're like, oh shoot, am I going to hurt myself, or maybe you've hurt yourself before, and you're just kind of like then you're doing the set like 3 different times and wondering which one was the correct way of doing it, So
yeah, exactly. So it's totally normal, right? Like, because it does take practice, but we'll just start by saying weight training is safe. I actually read something recently that was talking about how the risk in sports is actually much bigger than the risk in the gym, right?
yeah.
There's a lot more unpredictability in sports and a lot more dynamic movements and things like that. When you remember that, you can say there is definite ways to gym very safely. And I think, some of the tips we'll give you will boost your confidence and also be mindful of safety.
Yeah, good point.
Last one before we dive in is just, this is the mindset one. They're all mindset ones, but this one especially. Just the all or nothing thinking, which we come back to, I think, in some way, shape, or form in most of our episodes.
Yeah.
But this idea of like, well, I'm not a perfect gym goer. I don't look like a perfect gym goer. I don't know how to work out perfectly. I don't know the exact details. If you feel like you don't know how to do everything perfectly, you just don't go.
Yeah, it's like if I don't have the optimal program and the optimal form and the optimal progression scheme, then I may as well, go back to the couch and eat the Cheetos. When in reality, when you're first starting out, the people that have gym anxiety can see so much progress from the bare minimum. Even if you did things completely wrong, just from going from 0 to at least 1 step forward, you can see results. So it's like, there's no need to have the anxiety. Something's better than nothing in this case.
Yeah. So just switching that mindset from all or nothing to something is better than nothing, and making that mental switch can be hugely powerful. Okay. So each of those 4 reasons, this is why starting feels hard. There's fear of judgment, overwhelming options, there's a fear of injury or risk, and there's all or nothing thinking. And as Paris said, there are ways that we can overcome all that, or we can go back on the couch and eat some Cheetos. And as much as the second one of those 2 options is way more tempting in the short term, we're focused on the long term because, we talk about sustainable fitness transformation. So we're going to talk a little bit about what we can do now to overcome each of those 4 barriers.
I like it. Let's do it. Practical.
So before we talk step by step, most important thing to remember is what actually matters. And you actually just talked a little bit about this. Something is better than nothing, I think, is a great segue into this. It's just, it doesn't really have to be complicated. The main thing with going to the gym is just kind of being there and allowing yourself the ability to show up consistently.
Yep. It's like taking action and then trying to do that consistently. Once you get that down, then you can fine tune, then you can, turn the volume up, we'll say, but you at least need to get some sort of baseline actions that you're doing, daily, weekly type situation. And then you can worry about fine tuning. But just keep it as simple as possible to start if you're somebody that has gym anxiety, and then you turn up the heat as you go.
Building skills takes repetition. If you want to get to a point where you feel more comfortable in the gym, you have the skills around the major movement patterns, you have worked it into your routine, it just takes repetition and practice. So you need to get started before everything else can fall into place.
Yeah. I have an analogy, of course.
You always do.
It's
I
like,
love it.
yeah, always. It's kind of like when you're first learning how to drive. If you were scared of, oh my gosh, I'm going to crash, somebody's going to hit me. What if I press the wrong button? What if I put it in neutral when I'm supposed to be in drive? But you can only get better at driving and become a better, safer driver when you practice driving. And you start in the parking lot, and then you go on the kind of neighborhood roads, and then maybe eventually then you go on the highway, and then you're like, oh wow, driving is just so easy, and then it just becomes normal. But you have to think of it as comparing same thing in the gym. Like you don't need to start doing the most complicated movements 6 days a week and 3 hours in the gym. You just need to do at least something with, find what the equivalent is of practicing in the parking lot with your mom or whatever. That's what I did in the Honda Civic.
I remember.
Find the equivalent of that for the gym, and then start there.
Yeah, exactly. I can't top that analogy. That was top notch. Love it. So let's get started.
Yeah.
It took us 10 minutes, but we're going to get started. We're going to do it. All right. So step-by-step actionable ways that we can get started conquering gym anxiety and getting started in the gym. There's actually 7 of them, which sounds like a lot, but we're going to kind of go through each of them. And it's a little bit of like giving you a little bit more as we go along. So don't duck out early. You're going to want to hear all 7 of them, especially the last one. I think the last one has the biggest impact on your ability to move forward. So stay tuned for that. Number 1. Now, this might feel optional to some people depending on your situation. But number 1, if you are still feeling really heavy gym anxiety, there's a way that you can quote unquote gym at home. And I think starting at home can be a really, really great first step. Even if you only have a pair of light dumbbells, or even if you have some bodyweight exercise, or maybe you have a kettlebell, whatever it is, starting at home allows you the opportunity to build familiarity with certain movement patterns before you enter the gym environment. So let's say at home, I've been doing, I can do some goblet squats with a light dumbbell that I have at home. I can then go to the gym and do those goblet squats in the gym setting, but knowing I already have been doing this movement. Then by the time you enter the gym, you're bringing forward this familiarity with you. So not everything is new all at once.
That's very good. Yeah. And like a lot of these movement patterns that you would be doing in the gym can be done in some way, shape, or form at home first in a more simplistic version. And then they translate well into the gym setting anyways. But it's nice for the first time you're doing something not to be in the perception of everybody's looking at you, even though they're not. But the first time you're doing the goblet squat, if you did at home, you can mess up in your mind a billion times, but in the gym you might be feeling like it's more daunting to try something the first time in front of eyes.
Yeah, and some people can benefit even just from like recording their workouts a little bit, like filming them, and being able to look back at them and be like, oh, what did I actually look like? If you feel more comfortable doing that at home first and watching it and being like, oh, you know what, okay, I actually look pretty good, or I'm gonna make this small adjustment, then it also just gives you one less reason to think other people are watching you and critiquing you once you get to the gym. Now, again, they're not, most likely they're not, but just something that, again, builds that comfort, familiarity, that confidence before you're actually in the gym setting.
I like it.
Cool.
I like it.
That was number 1. Mm-hmm. So you're already giving yourself a huge check mark with that one. You're like, I got these movements. Cool. The second thing, number 2, is deciding how many days a week you actually want to be in the gym as a starting point. You said this up front. You said you don't need to be there 6 days a week to get started in the gym. The point is to get started.
Yeah.
So your starting point could be 1 day. You just pick 1 day that you're going to go.
This is my gym day.
This is my gym day. And maybe you don't even look at it as like every Thursday. You just start with like Thursday, July. I don't know what next Thursday is or whatever it is. Whatever that day is. You're like, I'm going to go on that day. Pick a day. Then pick how many days a week you think after that you can actually make it to the gym.
Yeah. But I think still a good starting point. Like if you actually want to see progress, like start with 3. It's a good number. 1, if you're like super intimidated and you're like, you can barely, you're like crying at the thought of going to the gym. And then, but most people I think should start with 3 because at least then it evolves into consistency and like some momentum. Whatever you're going to be able to stick to and you can get it in your head as something that is achievable. If that's once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, whatever that is, that's your starting point. You can then scale up the volume later.
And again, because we're trying to break the all or nothing thinking, you can work out 3, 4, 5 days a week, but go to the gym 1, 2, 3 days a week,
yes.
Right? So if you need to start with a hybrid model, and this is something like I've done with some of our clients, right? Sure. You start with at-home training, so step 1. Step 2 becomes, okay, I want to start getting to the gym, but either due to scheduling or due to comfort level, I'm not sure I can make it there more than once, twice a week. So maybe we're doing 2 gym days and 2 at-home days. We're actually training 4 times a week, so we're giving ourselves that consistency, but we're gradually starting to get used to the gym setting instead of making all of our sessions there or all of our sessions up.
I like it. Yeah.
Are we ready for number 3?
I'm ready.
All right. Number 3. I think this is going to be your favorite one.
I think so too.
Tell me if I'm wrong. Have a plan.
Oh, yeah, that's always...
That's your favorite, right? You're always about the game plan.
Yeah.
So number 3 is have a plan. Don't leave yourself hanging when you get there. For example, one of the main barriers or causes of gym anxiety that we talked about up front was not knowing what to do or feeling overwhelmed when you get there. If you just pick a plan and say, this is what I'm doing, again, even if it's not the perfect plan, but it feels like something you can do, then you got it. You go. When you walk in the gym, you know what you're doing.
Even I would get gym anxiety if I don't have a plan. Like, for example, on our trip, my training was a bit scattered, my most recent trip. And then I didn't know what machines were going to be at the gym. And, my training days got thrown off a bit. So I was ending up having to hit kind of like a full body type, but I didn't know what the gym was going to be. Then I walked in, I saw the machines, but then I was like, okay, well, I know I need kind of this amount of volume per muscle group, but like, what am I going to do? And it was so much thinking. I was thinking at the end, I was like, that's so much more stressful than me just opening up the spreadsheet for my coach and being like, all right, 2 of this, 2 of that, 3 of that, 4 of that. All right, let's go. Right. So,
and you're somebody who has a decade plus in the gym setting and has an advanced knowledge of training principles and builds programs. So if you actually take all of that away from you, you can imagine the level of anxiety is even bigger.
Yeah. Super, super overwhelming and just wasted mental energy.
Yeah, exactly. So have a plan. Find a program. Develop one, even if it's super basic, as like you're like, okay, I know that there's going to be dumbbells at any gym I walk into. What dumbbell exercises do I know? Which ones have I done at home? Cool. I'm going to write them down. I'm going to do 3 sets of each one. Starting point.
Yeah.
Awesome. So if you are, I just have to do a little bit of a shout out here. If you are somebody who's like, programming, because it's not always the fun part, and you want to have a game plan, we're going to drop a link in the description below to our Instagram. Send us a DM. We have a 3-day training template that we can send to you that can help you get started so that the next time you do walk into the gym, you have a plan.
Just send us a DM that says like gym or something like that, and we'll send it over.
Yeah, or just be like, if you want to go longer, you could be like, do you have the 3-day template? But you don't even have to type it all out. You can just say gym and we'll know what you're talking about. So send us that DM and we'll send you that training template just so you can help have that plan. So step number 3, we'll check that box off for you so you can get started in the gym.
Like it. I also have a dumbbell only one. So if you're really worried about the gym, then you can do a dumbbell only. But
yeah, so if you need that plan to get started at home and like bring that plan to step 1, we've got you covered.
There we go.
Maybe in that case, send us dumbbell instead of gym.
Gym. Yeah.
And then we'll really know what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Alrighty. Shall we do step 4?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, step 4. Watch some tutorial videos before you go.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to, again, that barrier of I don't know what to do, or I'm worried about doing things wrong, or I'm worried about getting hurt, watch some tutorial videos. So if there are certain exercises that are on your program, that are in the plan that you've just built, learn how to do them by watching. So then you're not standing there being like, at the machine, being like, which direction does this handle even move in? You at least have a visual to help guide you.
And you know what muscle groups you're trying to hit. Like, a lot of people are visual learners, not everybody, but a lot of people, a lot of the learning they do is visually. So if you can see what you're trying to do, and also usually there's audio going with that. Like, for example, shout out to our exercise tutorials on our YouTube channel. There's audio behind it. So you're watching and you're listening. And so then you're going to be able to go do it, right? You watch, you listen, then you do. So it's kind of the auditory and the visual components covered. And that will fast track your learning of these movement patterns if you haven't done them before.
Absolutely. So we will also drop all of the links in the description here to our different exercise tutorial playlists, which are organized by muscle group. So you can browse, or you can go search on our channel for certain exercises if you'd like. Doing this, taking this step by watching the videos, will help you address 2 of those barriers. 1, you'll know what to do when you get there. And then also 2, you will minimize that fear of injury or risk or any of that because you'll know how to do it properly. Like Paris said, a lot of those audio cues too talk about watch outs, right? It's not just the visual, okay, this is it, but it's the watch outs for this or watch out for that, or different cues to help you do it effectively.
I like it.
Okay, what number are we on? 5.
5, yeah.
Do you want to touch on this one?
Yes. Start with machines. right? Like machines, the track and the range of motion and the movement pattern is already established for you. And there's less stabilization needed. There's less thinking, way less risk of injury if you're thinking about that. Usually there's diagrams on the machines itself if you didn't watch the YouTube tutorials. But it's kind of more of a foolproof way of completing the exercise properly. And a lot of times you can see somebody use that machine before you too. Hopefully they're doing it right. Don't necessarily copy them because a lot of time we see some funky stuff at the gym. Holy smokes.
Yeah, I sometimes wish I had blinders. I
Yeah.
think that's sometimes why I wear a hat.
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
do the
at
same.
least closest thing I can get to blinders.
Seriously. But yeah, starting with machines, that way, again, safety is kind of there. It's a consistent movement pattern that you're going to hit more correctly. And also, it's easier time to focus on the muscle groups you're hitting, I find, before you learn those big movement patterns or using free weights.
And also, it's easy to kind of like figure out what weight to use,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
So if you're at a machine,
loaded,
the pin-loaded machines, right? Where you just switch it out, move up, move down. So if you start light, you're like, "Ooh, that's really, really light." You're not having to like get up, walk across the gym, put the dumbbells back, pick up other dumbbells, test those out. Oh, no, still too light or too heavy. Got to go back.
Yeah.
Right? Which again just makes you feel less confident. Mm-hmm. But it's really easy to be like, okay, I'm going to start light, see how it feels. Oh, you know what? I'm stronger than I thought I was. I can move that up one notch. And so it really just helps you easily figure out what weights feel good for you too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I'm going to let you take number 6 as well, because I feel like I took a lot of the first few.
That's okay. I'll take the last two.
Go for it.
The next one is pick exercises that you actually enjoy. Because when you're first getting started, optimal is not the goal. Consistency in action is the goal, as we alluded to earlier, right? Which most people, when they're first getting started, they have it as a reverse. They're like, what's the most optimal thing I need to do? But it's reality, you just need to start doing something. So if you choose exercise that you enjoy or a type of exercise that you enjoy, you're going to be much more likely to form a habit. And habits lead to consistency. So I think if you're like, oh, I hate this exercise, and you're thinking about it in the morning when you wake up, oh, after work, I got to go do this exercise, then maybe why would you do that? You don't have to do it. Like whatever's going to help motivate you. Oh, I love squats. Okay, great. Like I can't wait to go to the gym and do squats. If that's what's going to get you in the gym and start moving and start lifting, pick the movements that you like or the ones you're familiar with, because then you're less concerned about I'm not doing this right or I'm going to get injured.
Yeah, absolutely. So play into your comfort zone. Mm-hmm. Don't the whole point of this episode, I guess, is to start to work your way out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
But there are elements of your comfort zone you can carry with you, right? It's like my turn for, this is a bad analogy. Your analogies are good. Mine's not going to be good, but I'm going to say it anyways.
Yours are good.
It's like that kid who carries around their teddy bear every time they leave the house because it brings them some comfort, right? Yeah. And instead of that kid never leaving the house, parents can get the kid out of the house, just bring the teddy bear some comfort. So transition into the gym, leave your house, but maybe bring your teddy bear. And in this case, your teddy bear is the exercises you love or the ones you feel really good with.
Or you could bring I was visualizing you bring like an actual stuffed animal with you to the gym and you put it on the machine. It's like, okay, you go first. I don't know, Piggy or whatever. And you have this like stuffed animal pig that does the shoulder press. And you're like, okay, it's my turn. And then you have this like gym partner.
Piggy? What'd you call it? Piggy?
Yeah.
Yeah, Coach Teddy, Coach Piggy, whatever form of animal, stuffed animal you have. I mean, you can do that. And then people might be looking at you in the gym.
Yeah, that's one way to get attention.
They're just going to be jealous. So, maybe we'll do that. We'll start some Team Truth merch and it'll be stuffed teddy bears to be Coach Teddy.
Too funny. That is too funny.
I love that. Okay, we're rounding home plate here.
Yeah.
This is the last one. Okay, this is the one that I said earlier is the thing that's going to help you keep going. I think the most. I could be wrong. Or maybe it's debatable. But I actually think this one is a really powerful tool to keep you going. Because you can step foot in the gym once. That's first goal. But getting started in the gym also involves that desire to build consistency, as you've said so many times. Track what you do. Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry, you were going to take number 7. I just took it from you.
That's okay. I'm all about sharing. Sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring. Why don't you expand on it?
First things first, as humans, anything that we can gamify, we should gamify so we can get dopamine hits, which reward system, then we're going to do it again, right? So if you're seeing week 1, I did 10 pounds, then Week 2, I did 12 pounds, and then I added a rep the next week. If you're seeing that progression, you're gonna be like, I gotta go back for more reward system hits, right? So gamifying it, the only way you can gamify it and make it a game of numbers is if you actually track what you're doing. So yes, it takes 5 seconds to write it down, but that's a great habit to form at the beginning of your fitness journey, because as you want to progress later, you're going to have to quantify your stuff. It's super, super important. And I'm still so surprised how many people that have been training for years do not track their workouts, but that's a whole other thing that I've probably said before. But yeah, so track your stuff. Then also you're more familiar with what weights you need for a given exercises, so you don't have to do all that guessing that Courtney was describing before of, oh, is this weight, oh, it's a little too light, let me switch it, let me try another one. It's like, no, because you have what you did last time, so you know you're going to be in that ballpark, and then you just got to try to beat it just by a little bit.
Perfectly said. Yeah, you become your own competition, and that's how you evolve. Yeah, I think that's great. If we go back to some of those initial, I guess, challenges that people had, one, it takes away the guessing game, right? So you don't feel overwhelmed with what am I going to do? You've got your baselines written, go for it. 2, I think it does also somewhat mitigate injury risk, because if you're like, okay, I did this weight last week, this is how it felt, you're not all of a sudden being like, jump up really, really high, accidentally perhaps, because you forgot, right? Mm-hmm. And I think ultimately it does just really start to break through that all or nothing thinking, just by being like, I don't have to shoot things up week after week, but how can I find small incremental gains as I kind of go through my fitness journey?
That's what was really going to keep you motivated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like it. I really like it. Wow, we gave 7 big things. Do we want to just spitfire them just as a reminder?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I'm going to read them out here. Okay, 1, if you need to, start at home. 2, decide how many days you can actually stick to, even if it's 1, 2, or 3 sessions a week. That doesn't matter. Just start. 3 is to actually have a plan. 4 is watch some tutorial videos before you go, so you're more familiar. 5, start with machines. They can be less daunting, lower injury risk, etc. 6, we want to pick exercises that we're A, familiar with, or B, that we enjoy, because that will help us get consistent. And then number 7 is actually tracking what you do, especially gamifying it. That way you hit that reward system, so it'll make you want to keep coming back.
Great summary. Lucky number 7.
Yeah, lucky number 7 indeed. Yeah.
Now, it wouldn't be an episode of Truth Talks without a little mindset shift at the end. So let's just talk about some mindset tips to accompany your 7-step process. The first thing is, remember, whether you're thinking about this for yourself or for the other people there, everybody belongs in the gym. It doesn't matter what age you are, what gender, what your experience level is, how you look, everybody has a place in the gym. And everybody who is there ultimately is there for the same reasons. Everybody there, regardless of their circumstances, has some sort of desire for self-improvement. So let that be the great equalizer when you're there. Just remember, everybody's there for self-improvement, and your version of self-improvement is just as important as everybody else's who's there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Your reasons, you don't need to compare your reasons, is what I'm saying, right? Like, you don't, just because somebody is maybe chasing a more extreme goal or whatever, it doesn't mean that their goal is more important than you just getting a bit healthier, feeling better for your kids, or showing up better at work or whatever, right? Like, everybody's goal is on the same playing field in terms of its importance. So don't say, oh, this person deserves to use that machine, I'm not going to ask to use it because their goals are more important. It's like, no, let's not play that game. Everybody's goals are equally as important. And you never really know, like, a lot of people who you might think their goals are not important are the ones that it could completely change their life.
That's so true. That's so true. There's a great saying that I heard recently, which is like, don't compare your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 20. If they're a protagonist and they're on this great epic quest, they might just have read a little bit further along, or they're a little further in their journey. But at some point, they had to write chapter 1 for themselves. Yeah. So you need to write your chapter 1. And your chapter 1, even if that's an intro, like, hi, I'm so-and-so, blah, 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 this is my life. That chapter 1 then lets you keep writing so you can get to chapter 20.
Yeah, I really like that. And I'm also going to shout out Electra again. I think we shouted her a lot, but she sent me a message yesterday.
Go Electra!
She was doing hip thrusts on the hip thrust machine with the belt, and a lady actually asked her how to use it. because she was like, oh, I saw you doing this, like, can you teach me how to do it? And before, Electra would have been the one to be like unsure of like, am I doing this right, when she first started. So I'm like, you never know who's watching and who's going to be inspired. And then also, because Electra is now at that other woman's maybe chapter 12 in her lifting career, but Electra knows how it feels like to be in chapter 1.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And okay, like a year ago, Electra wasn't even really going to, like, she was doing home workouts, right? She was on step 1, home workouts.
Yeah. Oh, she was on very much step 1.
So, like, that's remarkable. Electra, you continue to inspire us every day. And we know you're listening because I know that you're one of our most avid listeners. Thank you always. So you deserve shout outs for so many reasons. But if anybody wants to actually learn about Electra's journey, we actually did a podcast interview with her. So I'll also drop that link. It's really focused on overcoming that self-doubt and overcoming how to get started and finding success. And look at her now. She's a total role model for other women in her gym.
Yeah, look at that. She's a professional trainer now.
Yeah, she could be. She's a good teacher because she literally is a teacher.
Is a teacher.
So if you're going to ask anybody in the gym how to do something, a teacher will know how to teach you.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, everybody. I think we will wrap it up for this week. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope that this 7-step process and the mindset tips were helpful to help you get started in the gym. If you have any questions on how you can get started, please drop them in the comments below and we'll address them. And don't forget, if you do want that 3-day-a-week training program so that you can have a plan, which was step number 3, please find us on Instagram in the link in the description below. Send us a DM and we'll hook you up. Until then, we will see you next Monday for another episode of Truth Talks. Bye for now.
Take care.